I drove a Cadillac. Well, Elvis, he had it all. They say he was the king, but look how happy he was when he split the scene. It's a day.
Are you ready? Are you ready for your daily dose of radio rehab?
They know what today is.
Yeah,
They're ready.
you know what today is too. Hey, folks, welcome into 101.7 FM and 710 Keel. Welcome into this edition of Strategies for Living. I'm Dr. David McMillian. He is Jimmy Bryant, Ph.D. That means he produces, he hosts, and he directs. And he always has a smile, just like a Chessy cat here on Tuesday.
I brought reinforcements.
Yeah, well,
That's right.
Yeah, down at the end of the table, there's LBC Carla McCormick.
Hey, fellas, I missed you guys.
Well, we missed you too, but we understand that you had, bigger fish to fry last
Yeah,
week.
it's T-ball season.
Yep, well, that happens.
Take
that
me
happens.
out to the ball.
And there he is, Jay Merle.
It's good to be here.
Yeah, it's-
Glad Carla's back, though.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So there was just within a day or so, yesterday I think it was, there was a new article posted on Psychology Today, written by Dr. David Welchner. And David has long hair just like I do, so can't be a bad guy.
The same name and long hair.
Same name and long hair. Hey, we're in good shape. But it's on mindfulness. And the title of it is, and it intrigued me, and so I want to talk about it a bit this evening. Is mindfulness a trait, a path, or a process? We hear more and more about mindfulness today.
I talk a lot about mindfulness in my room.
I know you do. So, it means different things to different people, I think. So we'll kind of drill down on that this evening if we're all mindful about that.
I'm mindfully anxious.
I love it. I love it,
Don't
folks.
be anxious.
Yeah. Well, we'll take care of him with mindfulness.
Anticipating.
There you go. Folks, thank you for tuning in to Strategies for Living, presented by LSU Shreveport, where you can stay close and travel far. We are also brought to you by Pintail Roofing.
Roof.
We're brought to you by Azalea Cleaners. We're brought to you by the Robinson Film Center. We're brought to you by Learning Rx. We're brought to you by Cannabis with Love, Hempress, 3766 Uri Drive in Shreveport. And we're brought to you by Shreveport Little Theater. Back in a moment. Mindfulness. Is it a trait? Is it a path? Or is it a process? We'll explore this evening here on Strategies for Living. Stay with us.
If your child has ADHD and reading issues, Learning Rx Shreveport can help. I'm Donisa Walker with Learning Rx Shreveport. More than 30% of children with dyslexia also have ADHD. That can make reading very difficult. At Learning Rx Shreveport, our brain trainers can improve your child's long-term memory, auditory processing, and logic and reasoning. Today, call Learning Rx Shreveport. Make an appointment to have your child assessed. I know you want to help your child, so does Learning Rx Shreveport.
As a senior and the current SGA president at LSUS, I've experienced firsthand what the university has to offer, including a welcoming campus, flexible class options, and 24-hour academic support. Facilities such as the Cyber Collaboratory and Idea Space are designed to prepare students for the 21st century workforce. That's why LSUS is the fastest growing higher ed institution in Louisiana. Visit lsus.edu to see how you can stay close and go far.
Serving part-time in the Army National Guard has led to a lot of firsts for me. It paid for me to be the first person in my family to go to school. That education got me to the first day at my dream job, which I can still hold while I serve part-time. That job and the home loan benefits I got from the Army National Guard helped me buy my first house. I also know that I will be one of the first to respond if my community ever needs me.
Sponsored by the Louisiana Army National Guard, aired by the Louisiana Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Welcome into 101.7 FM, 710 Keel. Welcome into Strategies for Living. Jimmy Bryant, LPC Carla McCormick, Jay Merle, David McMillian, and recent mindfulness article in Psychology Today. The headline is mindfulness a trait? Is it a path? Or is it a process? Mindfulness is in the news a lot here lately, right?
Yes.
A lot of people talking about it. Forbes is asking whether mindfulness makes us selfish. USA Today is encouraging all of us to start a mindful practice because it has health benefits. And then Literary Hub is chronicling the failure of one seeker to integrate mindfulness into their life. So we're talking about it.
Yes.
I mean, there's a lot of meanings. Mindfulness as a concept is used to mean different things in each of those reports. That first story views mindfulness as a trait, as a mental trait. The second story says, well, mindfulness is a path, a spiritual path, conceived in health promotion terms. We can get healthier by doing it. And then, the third plays with mindfulness as a cognitive process that can be applied beneficially in a lot of different activities. So, who got it right? Who's right here?
I think it's a little bit of all of those.
Yeah. Well, what's your understanding? What's our understanding? Let's see if we can get to a collective here, because mindfulness is almost becoming one of those. In danger, I think, of becoming one of those psychobabble words. And you know what I mean by psychobabble? We use it so much that it ceases to have meaning. An example would be codependence.
Or OCD.
ROCD, yeah.
Right.
We use it so much, out here. It gets written about so much, it gets bantered around so much, it gets talked about so much that it almost, ceases to lose its meaning. So let's talk about that. What do we think it is?
Well, I can tell you what it means to me.
Okay.
For me, mindfulness is my mind is where my butt is.
I like that. That's the Carla McCormick. My mind is where my butt is.
You know, I am present. If I'm here in this room, I'm with you guys.
Okay.
I'm not making a grocery list.
Yeah.
I'm not thinking about what I have to do when I get home.
Can we quote you on this? Because I think that's outstanding.
You're on to something there, Carla.
Carla
Yeah.
McCormick. My mind
Being
is where
present.
my butt is.
Yeah. I mean, you know, so and that's something I have to practice. You know,
Yeah.
it's not
Yeah.
something I did innately. I had to learn how to keep my mind focused. You know, I think there's a lot of like, oh, it's woo woo. You know, like, oh, mindfulness, and you have to meditate and you have to do all these things. I think for most of us that are maybe more simple minded like me, it's just keeping my mind where I am. in
Okay,
the same room.
so it's a state of active, open attention to the present.
Yes.
And this state is described as observing, being observant of thoughts, at one's own thoughts and feelings, without judging them as either good or bad, right or wrong. Yep.
Yes. Okay.
To me, that's what mindfulness is. To live mindfully, and I love the way you said it, to live mindfully is to live in the moment and to really wake up to the present rather than focusing either back there or in the past or over there, what's in front of me, the future. Make sense?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. And I think I mean, like most things, we complicate it. You know, and it's really doesn't have to be complicated. It's just keeping my mind where I am.
Yeah. Yeah.
So today I have someone in my office this afternoon, and this person is a real important part of my business. And this person likes to explain things in what I would sometimes consider excruciating detail. And I need to really work hard to be mindful, to be present.
To stay present. Yeah.
Because I just sometimes I just want to scream, you know?
Yeah. Do you find yourself sometimes with this person zoning out of there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But a friend of mine who's really smart told me today, after I shared this experience, he said, that person, he really wants you to understand what he's doing. He doesn't want to make a mistake, and he wants to make sure that you understand everything about what he's doing. And so I said to myself, okay, I can see that. And I've caught myself before with this person sort of rolling my eyes, which is not a good look.
No.
Because they pick up on that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's really not helpful. And so I struggle with mindfulness. Sometimes I find myself in conversation structuring what I'm going to say next without really listening to what they have to say. And I'd like to change that in myself.
Well, and I mean, that's the first step, is recognizing that, you know, I'm not always present. Sometimes I'm letting my mind wander at other things, and then just practicing. You know?
I think the majority of us are, you know, I talk about that 3-room house. I think the majority of us, you know, don't spend most of our time in the past or the future rather than the present time, the here and now.
Well, we need to talk about that again. I know we've talked about it before, but when you taught that to me, that was life-changing.
Oh, I like that. Okay, we'll talk about it again.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're talking about mindfulness today here on Strategies for Living. What the heck is it? Are we dealing with a trait? Are we dealing with a path? Are we dealing with a process? Let me tell you about Robinson Film Center for just a moment. It's and I want you to go on the path to Robinson Film Center. And as a matter of fact, A week from today is Give for Good. And Robinson Film Center is going to celebrate 15 years of film. So you can join in on the celebration. 15 Candles, 15th anniversary, Robinson Film Center, May the 2nd, a week from today. There's trivia at noon. There's going to be bistro specials. There's going to be happy hour specials. There is no place like the Robinson. There's no place like Abby Singer's Bistro. You can go to robinsonfilmcenter.org, find out what is playing right now. So join the fun, join the crowd, become a member, get discounts on movies, get concession upgrades, get bistro deals. Robinson Film Center, 617 Texas Street. Don't forget them during Give for Good. A week from today is Give for Good Day. We want to keep the Robinson in our community healthy, 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 healthy. RobinsonFilmCenter.org.
My friend and I are taking a trip to Mexico this year, but neither of us speak Spanish. So we downloaded Babbel and started learning Spanish fast.
Want to start getting conversational in another language in as little as 3 weeks? Babbel's quick 10-minute lessons were designed by language experts to be the most efficient and effective way to learn a new language.
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿De dónde eres?
¿De dónde eres?
Babbel's interactive lessons are created by real language teachers and voiced by real native speakers using a modern conversation-based method. So in no time, you can start speaking confidently about real-life topics in another language.
Nosotras vamos a México en 2 días y ahora hablamos español.
Gracias, Babbel.
Sí, muchas gracias.
Babbel, language for life. Celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. Just go to Babbel.com and start learning a new language today. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
And welcome back. Welcome back into Strategies for Living. Here on 1017 FM, 710 Keel, Jay Merle, LPC, Carla McCormick, Jimmy Bryant, David McMillian, talking about mindfulness today. So there's this growing number of researchers that are making the argument, Carla and Jay and Jimmy, that mindfulness, the best way to think of it, they say, is a variety of cognitive processes. So rather than trying to pin it down, pin down the specific motivation or benefit behind individual decisions, to start looking at the world through the lens of mindfulness, it may be worthwhile to focus on where the mindfulness practitioner ends up. So approaching mindfulness as a cognitive tool that inspires mental processes that may have different names but similar outcomes. For example, some folks view mindfulness as a personality trait, strongly associated with awareness, flexibility, generally relaxed. Others see mindfulness as a trait, and more less as a trait and more as a spiritual exercise, designed to cultivate well-being. Some see it as, well, it's a way that I can keep my stress under control. I can lower my stress level by learning this. It's all of the above.
I think it is.
Yeah.
I think it's a practice, and I think it starts off as a cognitive practice, and then I think it leads to it can lead to more spiritual awareness, more emotional awareness, more, I think it's a path that leads to all of those things.
Yeah.
A calmer, more, because if I'm in today and I'm living in the moment, then I can't be worried and stressed about what's going to happen after work or what's going to happen after I leave here. And so it helps me. I mean, I can't do both things. I can't have anxiety about what happens after I leave here and be in the moment here.
Do you, Jay, or do you, Carla, or do you, Jimmy, or do you, David, remember do you remember hearing the term for the first time? I'll start because I remember vaguely. I don't remember when I first heard it, but it was I'm going to guess it was somewhere around the time that I was in graduate school to do my master's in counseling, which would have been the late 80s, early 90s, something like that. And I think that may be the first time I heard the term. And I don't remember, I didn't hear it in a school setting. I mean, I know that. I remember that. But the very first thing that I remember associating with the term was woo-woo.
Yeah.
And, it's just that's
Way
just
out there.
way out there. And the other, I don't know, I can't connect this exactly, but for some reason, I would I would see woo-woo and Buddha.
Yeah.
Point of order, who's woo-woo?
Woo-woo is just like things that are way out there, like,
Yeah.
It's woo, it's spirit, it's
It's that it's that all those people that do the fold their legs and
meditating.
Well, that's kind of what I first
when you became aware of
when I became aware of when I first heard the term mindfulness. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I don't even remember.
You don't remember?
No.
Well, the reason I'm asking that, do you remember when you first heard of it?
And strictly speaking, so I learned how to do TM in about 1974.
You were way ahead of the rest of us.
Oh, well, my sister and my first cousin had gone over somewhere, and they learned anyway. They were all into that. So
yeah, because that swept the nation there for a while.
But when you meditate, when you do the TM practice, you say a mantra, and the point is to go to mindlessness. I mean, you don't want to be thinking about something in particular, and when thoughts come, you go back to your mantra, and you want to clear the thoughts away and just sort of be market neutral.
Right.
So yeah, that was a practiced way of being mindlessly mindful.
I like that. Mindlessly mindful.
Yeah. So that's my first taste of learning something about what goes on in my head.
I think that's a good positive thing. See, I had to strip away. Well, the reason I'm sharing what I'm sharing is because personally, it took me years to kind of peel back that layer, if you will, that lens through which I saw mindfulness. So for years, I just kind of discounted it because whenever I would hear it, a part of my mind, my brain would say, well, that's just woo-woo. That's just far out there. That's not for me, right?
Well, and I think that's what I did too. So for me, I thought mindfulness was meditation. It was clearing my mind of everything and, not having any thoughts. And then, when David kind of taught me the whole 3-room house thing, and I realized that, wait a second, mindfulness is just, for me, like I said, my mind is where my butt is. I'm on purpose controlling my mind to be present, to be listening, to be looking, to be aware of what this person in front of me, these people,
which I think
I'm
is
with.
a more useful a way of looking at it than the one example that I use. But yeah, I mean, to be mindful with that definition is something you have to really work on it, my experience.
Yeah. I have to do something real quick. Y'all carry on. I have some business to attend to.
For real? Yeah. Oh, okay. He really did leave.
Oh, okay.
He turned off the lights.
Turn out the lights.
So I just.
Okay, the point of the exercise.
Well, I just got a text from Lauren saying, I can't believe you and Carla and Jimmy making Jay sit there under those lights.
Oh,
well.
So you weren't mindful of his.
Lauren's looking out for him.
I wasn't
Maybe
mindful.
I like the lights because I can. I'm not much, but I'm all to think about. I showed up a lot better on Facebook.
You showed up better.
So,
Well, you want to turn the lights back on then? Okay. Well, so we thank
Hey,
Lauren
kids.
for trying to take
Lauren.
care of you, but she was mindful, right?
She was. That's a great example of mindfulness.
It is a great
Very
example
thoughtful
of
woman.
mindfulness. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's kind of why I like her a little bit.
Yeah. Well, it's working out.
So talk about the 3-room house thing again.
Yeah.
Okay. So, we all live in our minds, right? We live in a 3-room house, and that's all we have. And I'm talking now the conscious mind. If we want to add the
basement,
if we want to add the subconscious mind into it, we live in a 3-room house with a great big basement. But consciously, at the conscious mind level, all we've got is 3 rooms, and if you have a 3-room house, you're going to use all 3 rooms, right? Turns out in our minds, it's important to figure out what room I'm in, because some specific things happen in each room. Okay, so the 3 rooms, everybody's probably figured it out by now that hasn't heard this before. The past, the future, the present, right? And just like in a room, if I'm in one room, I can't be in the other 2. Right. So, but the reason this is so important, and the reason we need to be mindful of it, and I think it ties right into mindfulness, Carla. In the past, when I'm in the past, and I stay there for an extended period of time, I'm going to get angry. I'm going to get frustrated. I may even get depressed. Why? Because in the past, it's like somebody did what Jay just did, turn the lights back on, right? I can see so clearly, But in that room of the past, I go to move something. I go to change something, and I can see all I need to do is just move the cell phone over, and then this wouldn't happen, this wouldn't happen, this wouldn't happen, and life would be great.
Yeah.
But I go to move the cell phone, and it won't move.
Right.
It can't move because it's the past. The future is kind of the opposite of that. It's like the room is so full of fog that we're aware of each other's shadowy figures, but we can't see each other. It kind of looks like Jay over there, kind of looks like Carla, kind of looks like Jimmy, but I don't know. And so if I spend too much time in the future room, have you ever had the experience, have either one of you had the experience of driving in your neighborhood in heavy fog?
Yeah.
And you know right where you are, but what do you feel like? What does it feel like? Anxious.
Anxious,
Yeah,
yes.
because I can't see. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what happens in that future room. In the present is the big room. All my tools are in there. All of my stuff is in there. I can change things. I can alter things. I can move the cell phone. I can turn the lights on. I can turn the lights off. I can adjust and make adjustments. It's the only room where that happens. So, again, we all live in this 3-room house, so we're going to use all 3 rooms. But we need to be aware of how much time we're in each room. Because a lot of us spend, let's say, 40, 50% of our time in the past and 30 or 40% of our time in the future. Well, you can't be in more than one room. So if I'm spending 40% here and 30% there, then I've only got, that's 70% together. That means I'm only 30% of the time where I can really live, where I can really make changes, where I can really, in the present.
Right.
You're out of balance.
Sense?
You're out of balance.
Totally out of balance.
70% in the past and the future. That's a...
And we need to use those 2 rooms. I mean, we need to be able to go into the past some to be able to learn from it.
Right.
And to make different choices back in the present. We need to go into the future to make goals and plans, but then we need to come back to the present. So I would say at most, if you're spending more than 10% of the time in each one of those rooms, then you're out of balance. Because we need to be spending, and I think that's the purpose of mindfulness, to get us to focus our awareness of the here and now.
So the present is the only room that you can do the next right thing in.
Yes.
You can't do the next right thing in the past because it's the past and you can't change it.
You can't change it, yeah.
And the future, you can plan, as you said.
You can plan and imagine that you will do it, but you don't know if that happens.
Exactly.
Right?
Well said. And then if we do the next right thing on a consistent level, there's less debris in that back room, less to regret and be remorseful for.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
less to clean up.
I can tell you that, as a kid and growing up, I was taught to control my behavior. I was taught that, you had feelings or you got angry or whatever, and you had to control your behavior. It wasn't until, I was way into adulthood that I started to learn that I can control my feelings and I can control my thoughts.
Yes.
So, I can't, maybe some people can, but I can't yet control when a thought comes. I can be driving to work.
And then that's impossible because the nature of thoughts is they're all over the place. If we could, who do you imagine to be the most balanced person in the world that's ever been? Is it the Dalai Lama? Is it Billy Graham?
Maybe the Pope.
Is it the Pope? Yeah. If we could see into the Popes or the Dalai Lamas or Billy Graham's mind, we would see all the thoughts running all over the place, just like ours. And we'd say, oh, they're crazy too.
And I guess then I'm normal, but right. So, I'm driving to work, a thought comes, poof, I'm in the past.
Yeah.
Now I can't help that.
No,
that thought just came.
Right.
But at that point, I have a choice.
Yes.
That I can stay in that room and I can lament and I can feel sad for myself. I can pull up a chair and pop some popcorn and watch that old movie, for an hour if I want to. Or I can say, you know what? And I can come back on purpose to today.
Purposefully, yes.
And I can say, okay, I need to do this today, and today is where I am. And then, of course, I might be, I don't know, cooking dinner. Poof, I'm in the future.
Right.
And then I can kind of think about it, or I can stay there and ruminate and then have all this anxiety, or I can say, you know what, there's nothing I can do about it. I've done what I can do, and I can make myself on purpose come back to today. And that takes practice. When I first started doing that, David taught me about, he called it changing the channel. Right?
Yep.
So in my mind, I would think, nope, change the channel. Nope, change the channel. And I would have to do it 50 times a day. But the more I did it, the better I got at it. Mm-hmm. And even now, it's like I practice. Nope, come back to today. Nope, come back to today.
And what you're doing is you're reminding yourself over and over, wait, I have control.
Yes.
These thoughts aren't controlling me. I'm in control of these thoughts. The tail doesn't have to wag the dog. I can wag the tail, but I have to be aware of it. I have to be, I have to be aware of the process to be able to carry out that process, right?
And you have to do it purposefully. You have to do it on purpose.
Yes.
I know when thoughts come that, and I've shared before that a lot of times I'm in the shower when this happens, and I think of something from the past that I wished hadn't gone the way that it did. And really through this fellowship we have in here on Tuesday night, I've learned that just what you said, Carla. You know, I can go, oops, I don't want to go there. And I have different tools for doing that, and they're weird, but it's how I do it. And because I don't like to be there. You know, I can go to some really dark places, and I don't want to be there.
Well, and we know. I mean, we know the way emotions in our minds work. That when I go back to the past and I relive those events, I'm gonna have those emotions that are attached to those events.
Yes,
you know,
you're gonna be right back there.
I'm gonna have fear and sadness and grief and all of those emotions that live in that room with those events.
And that's because of that big basement. Because that big basement only knows now. So when the conscious mind takes you there, all of that big basement is going to be sad and angry or whatever the feeling is that you're not necessarily wanting, right?
Right.
So I think we just need to go to the theater. I just think we need to go to a play.
And what's playing, David, at Shreveport Little Theater?
Driving Miss Daisy finishes up the 101st season. Ann Lockhart is starring. Patrick McWilliams has come back from New York to direct this thing. It's now playing, goes on through the 30th at Shreveport Little Theater. You got to get your tickets. This thing's going to sell out. ShreveportLittleTheater.com. And while you're there, check out the 102nd season of Shreveport Little Theater. Always Patsy Cline in September. My Way, a tribute to Frank Sinatra and his music in October and November. The Wonderettes are back with the Winter Wonderettes in December. Dial M for Murder in February and March. And the season ends with Jimmy Buffett's Escape to Margaritaville in April. Shreveport Little Theater, 812 Margaret Place, ShreveportLittleTheater.com.
Well, I won't back down. No, I won't back down. You can stand me up at the gates of hell, but I won't back down.
I kind of like this as a transition, huh? Yeah.
Well, we won't back down.
No, not if we're mindful, not if we're in the here and now, right?
Right.
Welcome back into Strategies for Living here on 1017 FM, 710 Keel. Jimmy Bryant, LPC Carla McCormick, Jay Merle. What's going on in the roofing world there, Jay?
I'm glad you asked, David.
You know, it's just what I do, Jay.
We're busy. Our commercial crews are busy. Did I mention we fix leaks? We're pretty good at fixing leaks.
Not
we don't have too many leaks. If
no,
any.
but other people who
do, and insurance companies have gotten rather miserly with their adjustments. And
that's what I hear.
Yeah, they have, and so
it's important for people to be able to trust a company that's going to come out, find it, fix it, do the job right, and that's Pintail. Pintail does that.
That's right.
And so if people want to
226 roof,
there you go.
Yeah.
Okay. And you come out and give free estimates?
We do. I had a call today, real quick. The tornado, it blew through
down
on Sophia, and we got a call today from a guy who said he discovered that he had a hole in his roof because a cat got in there and had kittens.
Oh my goodness! Oh,
3
meow.
days ago.
Yikes.
Oh wow!
And the whole ridge vent had been torn off, and the cat got in there, had kittens, and he got up in this crawl space. He said, "I didn't know there was a light up here." Well, there's a slot that's open to the atmosphere anyway.
So Pintail can help.
We're going to help him.
And you know what? That's the other part. If people will call you, you will also help them navigate through insurance.
The
is tough.
thing.
Yeah.
Sure.
So
right.
that's an important thing.
Yes, indeed.
So we're talking mindfulness today. So whether it's a trait, whether it's a path, whether it's a process, mindfulness is its distinguishing. Its feature is it allows us to focus our attention, and the attention is the big thing. Attention means taking notice of something. Awareness is the conscious registration of how that something has stimulated our senses. We have 5 of them, of course, that we're aware of all the time and that are in front of us. And the activities then through our senses of our minds. That makes sense?
Okay.
Yeah.
You tuned in.
And you're tuned in. So, most of us are not very good at controlling our attention. Our ability to focus attention on an object tends to be pretty brief. And once stimulated, squirrel.
Right.
Once stimulated, it's usually very short. And we can get pulled off, we can get drawn into something else very, very quickly. So to be able to really use mindfulness to train our attention and our focus and awareness, that's a very, very powerful
You want to know
tool.
how to never get anything done? I know how. I'll tell you.
Okay. All right.
So you got an array of tasks that face you in the morning when you arrive at your workplace.
Right.
And you start working on one, and then you remember that you've got this other thing over here, and so you grab that, and then you look at that, and then the phone rings, and pretty soon it's lunchtime.
Yep.
And you haven't knocked out any work. So it's been my experience.
The tail has wagged the dog.
The tail has wagged the dog. And what I have this happy place at my office that I go to under an umbrella outside.
I know that happy place.
Because I smoke a cigar out there.
Yeah.
And if I've got a bid to get out or something that
I bet you can get more work done there than in your office behind your desk with the phone ringing.
I leave my phone in the office, and because I've messed up a couple of those, and it can be expensive.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
But, I don't have anything like perfection with regard to, but staying on task and focusing in and waiting and finishing something, starting something and finishing it is, if it's real high priority and important, that's the only way I can do it. Instead of jumping around all over the place, which is the way my mind works, which is what you were just saying.
Yeah.
We do.
The essence of mindfulness isn't found simply in focused attention. To be attentive is a necessity, but it's an insufficient condition of mindfulness. The The uniqueness of mindfulness is to be cognizant, to be aware of our attentive state. We're paying attention to the attention, and we're aware. It's attention plus awareness. We're aware that our mind is paying attention. We're attending to attention. If I hope I'm not getting too deep, here Jay's rolling up his.
No, I'm very mindful of everything you say. I'm tuned in.
There you go. Okay, so we're paying attention to the process, but we're also paying attention to that other part of us that is always there, that produces judgments, and it tells us, oh, that's bull honky, that's that, or whatever we say, right? And so we're aware of that part of the mind that's always producing that, and that is we've got to just, again, we don't want to eliminate that part of the mind. It's important, but we've got to be aware of it and be willing to put a boundary around it. I don't know how to say that. Put a boundary around it in some way so that we are controlling it. It's not controlling us. Make sense?
Yeah. And all of that has to be done purposefully, and all of that takes practice.
Yes. And, if once we do that, we can't control. You were kind of illustrating, Jay, maybe a fairly typical day in business. And it could be the roofing business, could be the banking business, could be the radio business, any business. That's one of the things with business.
Right.
But, think of the power if you can continue to stay focused. And I think the illustration, okay, well, you found a way to.
There are people that this comes really naturally to.
Yeah.
I'm just not one of them.
And I think you're probably better at it than you think, but we can all get better.
Like Carl
we can
says,
improve.
It takes practice.
Yeah.
I gotta do this.
Absolutely.
And then you discipline yourself to do it.
Absolutely.
And you pull it off and you go, okay, I did that.
Absolutely.
Boy.
Yeah.
We are hopefully we're a little more mindful of our mindfulness today. Is this thing mindfulness? Is it a trait? Is it a path? Or is it a process? I always loved the test that had all of the above, right?
Yeah.
All of the above.
Yeah.
We'll be back.
No promises, no demands. Love is a battlefield.
Chronic pain, anxiety, problem sleeping? Think you've tried it all? Wait. If you haven't tried CBD oil from Cannabis with Love, well, you haven't. All CBD oil is not created equal. Cannabis with Love is all about helping people get better. 3766 Uri Drive in Shreveport. CannabisWithLove.com. Our oil is THC-free, organically grown in Colorado, and cold-pressed, no chemicals, no GMOs. Now, we hear it all the time. This stuff is amazing. No, it's CBD oil from Cannabis with Love, the first store in Shreveport Bossier to introduce CBD oil. We're all about helping people get their lives back. CBD oil can change your life. You'll find oils, edibles, and more, all with CBD added. People tell us this oil makes a difference for pain, for sleep, for seizures, for anxiety, for cancer treatment, Alzheimer's, and much more. Cannabis with Love, 3766 Uri Drive in Shreveport, CannabisWithLove.com. And welcome back. Welcome back to Strategies for Living. Jimmy Bryant, Jay Merle, David McMillian, and LPC Carla McCormick, who always puts icing on our cake.
David loves to say that.
Yeah,
You have to ice the cake.
How are you going to ice the cake this evening?
I think that I would tell people not to overcomplicate it, that it doesn't have to be woo-woo. It doesn't have to be some big, difficult thing. I mean, keeping your mind where your butt is. I mean, I think it's,
I love that.
Being present.
We've got to quote
That's
her.
That's the takeaway.
We got to quote her. That may be the title of your first book.
Keep your butt where your mind where your butt is. Yeah, that's the takeaway.
I want you to write the 3-Room House book, but I mean, understanding that we have control.
I'll write the 3-Room House book if you'll give me a chapter on mindfulness is where your butt is.
I can do that.
Okay.
I can do that.
All right. Deal.
So don't complicate it.
Yeah, I like it. If you're interested, there's an article in Psychology Today. Its title is Mindfulness, a Trait, a Path, or a Process, written by Dr. David Welsner. And we have quoted some from it this evening and then added our own flavors to it, as we usually do. Good job, Jay. Good job, Carla.
Had fun as always.
Good job, Jimmy.
Great show.
And folks, thank you. Thank you for tuning in to Strategies for Living, presented by LSU Shreveport, where you can stay close and travel far. Strategies is also brought to you by Pintail Roofing.
Roof.
We're brought to you by Azalea Cleaners. We're brought to you by the Robinson Film Center, by Learning RX, by Cannabis with Love, Hempress, 3766 Uri Drive in Shreveport, and by Shreveport Little Theater. If today were the last day of your life, you only had one more phone call to make, who would you call? What would you say? And why are you waiting? Make the call. For Jay Merle, for LPC Carla McCormick, for Jimmy Bryant, I'm David McMillian. See you next time on Strategies for Living.